Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's May Day 2020, May 1st. I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Today we're talking Chiefs because the Chiefs are talking. Patrick Mahomes spent time with reporters, and among the topics he covered was his reaction to the team picking up the fifth-year option on his contract and his communication with former teammate Alex Smith through Smith's ordeal with the gruesome injury that he suffered in 2018. By the way, that injury suffered while quarterbacking the Washington Redskins is a subject of an ESPN documentary tonight at 6:30 p.m. You do not want to miss this. I've seen it. You don't want to miss it. So well done by ESPN. After a break, we'll hear from Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, the offensive lineman who's a doctor and working on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. 5 years ago, I wrote a story about LTD being the most interesting man in the NFL, and that's before he ever played an NFL game. He gets more interesting by the year, and the story of his current situation, working out for the Chiefs on a virtual basis while combating the pandemic near his native Montreal, is just fascinating. He's been assigned to a long-term care facility there. Star columnist Vahe Gregorian is working on a column about LTD that'll be posted online today and I believe will appear in Sunday's editions of the Kansas City Star, so please look for it. Okay, here we go with Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes.
All right, man, we're going to kick this thing off and just start with questions. So, Pete Sweeney, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Hey, Pat, thanks for taking some time. I had a question regarding the Chiefs' top pick, Clyde. It was going around all throughout draft weekend how Brett had contacted you and your first name that came to your mind was Clyde. And I was wondering why him and what do you like about his game? Do you think that could make the Chiefs' offense even better for the 2020 season?
Yeah, I think the first thing that stood out about Clyde was when the competition and the games got bigger, it seemed like he played better. And I always love guys that can rise to the competition. And whenever you're on the biggest stage, you play your best football and you rise up and compete with your team. So that was the first thing that stood out to me as I watched the college football playoff and at the end of the college football season. And then the way he's able to catch the ball in the backfield but still be able to run tough between the tackles, you can tell he's a high character guy. He loves football. And so for me, he asked me, and obviously I wanted to add to the offense, obviously to help me out and to help our team out. And so Clyde was the first name that came to mind. And I know we have a great running back room already, so I think it just him bringing him in. I know he'll fit right in and he'll compete, and we'll be able to bring the best out of each other in every single position group and go out there and play our best football hopefully this next season.
Okay, let's go to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
What's going on there, Patrick? You're not only an athlete, but one of the biggest sports fans all of us know. I'm just wondering what this has been like for you with no sports to watch, no NCAA tournament, NBA down, everything. What's it been like? How different, how weird has it been like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely been weird. I mean, like you said, I've watched every single sporting event. I try to go to as many as possible, and I plan on going to different games and doing all type of different stuff. But it's been different for sure, but I've kind of gotten around it. I've loved what ESPN and all these different networks have done with showing past games, showing games that I'd kind of forgotten about or I was too young to really comprehend the magnitude of what was going on. And so for me, it's been cool to see that. And then other than that, it's been a lot of Netflix with Brittany. And so I've got to catch up on all the different shows, watched Ozarks, I've watched Westworld, I've watched about to start the Outer Banks show. I've literally caught up on everything on Netflix.
Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing, man? I hope you're doing well.
Doing good.
Hey, Clark Hunt last week during the draft had mentioned what it feels like now to be the hunted. And I'm curious, as the Super Bowl MVP and the repeating champion here, what's it like for you knowing, especially considering how the AFC West loaded up and the Ravens loaded up, and it seems like they have the Chiefs in mind, but like, what's your mentality knowing that the competition is really coming at you?
Yeah, I think the last couple of years we've kind of seen that change. At least since I've been here, I think with what Alex did and the back-to-back AFC West championships before I came in, and then in my first year going to the AFC Championship game, you've realized that teams have really studied your game plan, studied how you you attack the football field and try to have different ways to combat that they don't play against with other teams. And so for us, it's kind of coming in with that mindset of being prepared for everything, making sure you really go into detail on the scouting reports and everything like that, because you're going to get the best effort and the best change up of every single team. And so for us, we've seen what the other teams in our division have been doing, and we understand that they're trying to come out there and compete against us and try to take the crown for us. So it's about us getting better within ourselves so that we can go out there and play our best football when it comes down to it.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Patrick, thanks for doing this. I have a two-part question. The first part is in regards to the possibility of you signing maybe an extension before training camp. How, Brett Veach mentioned that it's sort of important that the team maybe handle that before training camp starts. For you, how important is it to get that sort of completed so that you can get, focused back on football? And then my second part is, being one of the leaders on the team, when not being able to see everybody because of the pandemic, how have you tried to demonstrate leadership in this, unusual time?
Yeah, with the first part, I mean, for me, I think I've been in a unique situation where I've grown up getting to see a lot of guys go through contracts and doing a lot of different things and having an understanding of how it all works. For me, obviously, I want to be a Chief for a long time. I want to have a contract that says that, and that I can go out there and know that I have that security and everything like that. But I understand and trust the Chiefs organization and everybody in it that they're going to handle it the right way. I trust my representation that they're going to let me ease my mind and let me go out there and just love the game that I've loved playing. And so for me, whenever that happens, it happens. But I'm going to focus on being the best football player I could be every single day. And then to that second part, I think the best thing about this team is that we have a lot of leaders on this team. And I always say it, but with everything going on, I can really trust that those guys are going to get out there and put that work in. We have a group message with me and all the tight ends and all the receivers that we talk a lot, and we talk about what we're doing on and off the field. But you're able to kind of keep each other accountable by doing that. And then I've texted the running backs, I've texted the guys, a lot of the offensive linemen, and kind of stayed in touch and see what they're doing. And so it's been different, obviously, but I think with having the leaders we have on our team, having the veterans on our team, it's been good for us that we've been able to kind of just go out there self-motivated to go out there and be the best team, because we want to go out there and make a run at it this next season. And so whenever that happens, we're going to be ready to go.
Let's go to James Palmer. Go ahead, James.
Hey, Patrick, just curious about your training and kind of how you're going about your day-to-day in this situation. Kind of run us through kind of what you can do, who's there, kind of what you're, compared to your normal off season. And then also, as you and Andy like to try to add new things, how do you guys go about that portion of it as well? Do you have like a whiteboard behind you? Like, how do you guys break this stuff down?
Yeah, so as far as training goes, it helps out that my girlfriend's like an at-home fitness guru. So she actually writes up a lot of the workouts that I was doing before we got to these off-season training things. And so my trainer in Dallas, and then Coach Rubes, our trainer with the Chiefs, have all kind of put together these workout plans for me to make sure that I'm getting what I need. And then I'm actually got lucky enough that I was already, before this happened, I'd already started putting in a weight room in my house. And so I have a lot of the equipment already at the house and able to utilize a lot of that stuff. And then what was the second part of your question? I forgot about that.
It was just as you and Andy try to implement new things that you can talk to each other about the playbook and do different things offensively, how do you kind of break it down? I know some quarterbacks have whiteboards behind them and they can do different things, sharing a screen. How do you guys go through that process?
Yeah, we actually, with the different, it's not Zoom, but it's another type of virtual meeting program that we have. They're able to share stuff, and we're able to go through just like in any other meeting, and they show us different plays. They send me stuff kind of on my own, and Coach Reed's good about that, of just keep asking me kind of what I like and what I don't like and everything like that. And so, I mean, it hasn't stopped at all. I feel like we were getting in the exact same amount of work we would be if we were in the facility as far as those meetings go. And so we have a good staff with Kafka, Coach Bieniemy, with Coach Reed, who are always being innovative. And I know Coach Reed's going to have more and more stuff as we keep going.
Let's go to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick, you and your teammates have done so much for the community during all these crazy times. I'm just curious, what's it mean to you that you can use your platform to help people that are facing struggles because of this?
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. I think the what Tyreek did of kind of igniting everybody to give back to the Harvesters organization and the Kansas City community was awesome. It was something that I was trying to find the best way to do, and then he kind of started it, and it kind of spiraled through the whole entire team, and we were able to really go out there and help the community. And it hasn't stopped there. I mean, guys are doing whatever they can and using their platform, using the things that they've gotten and that the community has given to them to give back. And so obviously we're not in the times that we want to be in. We want to be out there playing football and living life, being outside, doing whatever it is. But we're going to do whatever we can to come together, face the adversity, just like a football team would do. We're going to do that at a bigger scale with the world and go out there and fight it so that we come out on the other side and we're able to enjoy it together.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Pat. That TV special on Alex Smith and his injuries tonight, I was wondering, since he left the Chiefs, what your communication has been with him, and particularly since his injury.
Yeah, we talk probably every 2 or 3 months at a time. We'll text and have a few conversations. Mostly it's about how the families are doing. Building that relationship that I had with him for a year, seeing him every single day, and then getting to go out to eat with his family, and then him with mine. I mean, we built a great relationship, and obviously I knew a lot of the stuff that was going on as far as the surgeries and when he had the infection and everything like that. But I think the perspective of seeing the actual pictures even makes it even more magnitude to me. But knowing the person and the attitude that he has, I can see how he's already made so much more improvement because he has the mindset of going out there and being the best person he can be every single day. And so I've talked to him a couple times. I talked to him after the Super Bowl. He congratulated me and everything like that. He was one of the first text messages that I got. That's just the type of guy he is. And so I think he's doing really well right now, and I can only imagine the progress that he will continue to make as he keeps getting after it every single day.
Let's go to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, like Super Bowl teams don't repeat often, right? They don't win a lot the next year. I'm just wondering if you've studied that, if you have a theory for that. And also Andy on the call just before said he doesn't think the offense is near as good as it can be. What do you think he means by that?
Yeah, I think as a team, I think a lot of the times when you win that Super Bowl, you kind of relax because you feel like you've done it. You've went out there and accomplished your goal, and you relax for that little bit of the off season. But I think with our team, the little bit of difference I feel like we have is it feels like every single guy on our team once we won the Super Bowl was like, we definitely celebrated for about a week or two, and then after that it was that mindset of we're going to get back after it. We want to do this again. We're bringing all these guys back. We're bringing the most of our crew back, and we're excited for the opportunity to go out there and compete again. And I think having that mindset will hopefully keep us from relaxing or anything like that. And I think that's why teams don't repeat. And it's such a hard league, and there's so much turnover that it's hard to get that same spark and make that same run. But I feel like we have a good chance of at least preparing ourselves to be ready to do that. And so I'm excited for that opportunity. What was your second question one more time?
Yeah, Andy had said he didn't think that the offense was near as good as it could be last year. What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, I think it starts with me. I think there was times last year where I was kind of scrambling and trying to make the big play happen whenever the plays underneath were there. And then I think as a unit, we saw a lot of different coverages than we had seen the year before, and we were trying to run the plays and hit those deep shots, but teams were playing a lot of very deep coverage. And so I think just being able to find that balance, kind of like I do at the quarterback position, of when to run the route this way or when to run the route this way, or if you can't beat them over the top, find a way to get someone else open. Is something that we'll continue to work on, and defenses will continue to throw us different coverages and different things. But if we can progress and really become amazing at the fundamentals, then all the special talent that we have everywhere will really show when it needs to, and that we'll be able to take this offense and this team to the next level.
All right, guys, I know we got lots of hands up here. We've got time for a couple more. We're going to go Sarin, and then BJ Kissel, you can close us out. Go ahead, Sarin.
I'd thank you, Patrick, for the time. I know you talked about speaking with Coach Reed and Brett Veach about running backs, and you're into the whole how to make the team better. Mm-hmm. Salary cap, right? That's one of the things that all the fans are looking at, whether it's SPO-Track or over the cap, and with an extension, kind of due for you coming up, and then Chris Jones having the franchise tag. That's one of their big conversations. How's it all going to fit? Do you get into that kind of minutia? Do you look at the cap, and are you playing armchair GM like so many fans are on how to make it fit so you can get everybody back in there? And then as a follow-up, if you could just explain just on the run game, like you mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire, how being able to run the ball makes everything work better for you guys even when you're throwing the ball.
Yeah. Well, first off with the salary cap, that obviously I look at stuff like that. I look at different things as far as how we can keep all these guys around, keep all these great playmakers that we have on this team. And so, but at the same time, it's a thing where I let it kind of handle itself. There's different ways you can maneuver and do different things in order to keep all the best players around. And I think we have a great organization that is really in tune with that and understands that we have what we have here and how many great football players we have, and that we want to keep as many as possible, and hopefully all of them if we can, to go out there and make a run at this thing again. And then as far as the with the running backs and Clyde and all those guys, I mean, I think if you look at when we had Damian rolling and he was healthy, and how much he really expanded our team and the way he was able to play in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, and how he was able to kind of take our offense to the next level. I think in any offense you have to have that running game to really take it over the top. And so to have him getting Darrell Williams back, getting Darwin Thompson more and more accustomed to the offense, and then letting him kind of get more and more ingrained, and then adding Clyde and adding DeAndre, I think we're gonna have a lot of great running backs that really care and really want to put in the work to be the best. And I've always believed in competition brings the best out of everyone. And so for me, it's about going out there, letting those guys eat. I mean, all those guys can run, all those guys can catch, all those guys can block, and so it's a luxury for me to have guys like that in the backfield who are going to go out there and compete every single day.
All right, BJ, close out.
Patrick, again, appreciate your time. Just with this virtual environment and the way that you guys are going through these virtual meetings, and Coach and Brett have talked about in the past, getting guys who love football to be a part of this. As you're in this environment, how can this kind of weed out, I guess, in some ways, teams and players that aren't necessarily as bought in as you guys? Just how does having the right kind of guys who love football and love, the process in this kind of environment, just another added benefit for the way that this roster has been constructed?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, when you have this different scenario where you have to kind of, I don't want to say adversity with everything going on, but it's an adverse situation because it's not the same as you would usually have, and where you're able to kind of go in and hold each other accountable because you can see everybody all day long pretty much. Now it's about who loves football, who loves the progress, and who wants to get better every single day. I mean, Coach Reed's trusting us to go out there and be the best person that we could be in order to help the team. And so I feel like the guys that we have understand that they don't want to just win one Super Bowl. They want to make a run at this thing again. They want to play the best football every single year that they can. And when you have guys like that, you can trust that they're going to be working out every single day. They're going to be preparing themselves, not only in the 2 hour, 4 hour, whatever window it is to learn with the coaches, but to take that stuff home with them, study that stuff at night whenever they got their own free time. And when you have guys that love football, you understand that you're going to have people that will take that stuff home, do that extra work in order to prepare themselves to be ready for whenever the season comes.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeat KC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Hey, Larry, I remember from talking with you about your medical degree and your choices having to do with that when you were at McGill, to balance all your studies and so on, you had to sleep in the locker room and wake up, go to practice and such like that. So now you're on the front lines with the COVID stuff and going through this virtual off season. Does it remind you of those times? And how do you think that those times may help you as you're kind of diving right back into this?
I mean, I think every healthcare professional, especially medical student, you work long hours, especially when you're learning. I remember, back in like 2013, 14, 15, when I was doing both at the same time, it was really hectic. But now I think it's a totally different mindset. I'm here more, to help, to support, to contribute in that time of crisis. And what goes through my mind is more like, how can I first protect myself, care for the patient, protect the patient as well, and doing all that while, of course, like trying to assist to as much virtual training as I can and work out on my home back home.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Doctor. You wrote a little bit about how that you're involved with the committee on advising the NFL and just how to proceed going forward. Just curious, what is your take about how, you feel like that the NFL should proceed, when you think it would be safe for everyone to get back, and, do you think you're going to be able to play a full season?
Well, you know what? For me, I see that more as a privilege to be able to sit on that committee, the task force from the NFLPA. And there's many committee that both the NFLPA and the NFL has put in place in order to kind of evaluate what's going on, and I'm not an expert, I'm sitting on that call. There's people from like Stanford, Harvard that study epidemiology and public health. So I'm there to learn and maybe give a little bit of my perspective as a player, but I don't want to comment on what's going to happen. For sure, there's plenty of scenario right now, plenty of different strategy in place, and it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. And I think that the number one thing is for sure to keep the players safe, but I think the NFL in general has also a responsibility towards the community and their fans. So making sure that we're not becoming like a vector of propagation for that virus. So there's a lot of question, and like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to evolve in the next few weeks, months.
All right, let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Larry, hope you're doing well up there. I wanted to ask you if you could maybe detail in brief what exactly you're doing there, and also how do you justify the tremendous personal risk you're taking here by doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now I'm working quote unquote as an orderly. It was kind of the easiest status to give me because I'm kind of in a gray zone. Having graduated with my doctorate in medicine, but I'm not in a residency program, so it was kind of hard to be like I jump in as a physician because I'm not really at this specific time. So the help that the healthcare department needed was mostly as orderly. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm doing also a little bit of nurse task, handing out medication, making sure the patient are all right. I'm working in a long-term care facility right now. So, the average patient is probably like closer to 80 years old. So it's a totally different mindset. I haven't really been exposed to a lot of geriatric patients throughout my medical studies. So it's really a different mindset. And in that time of crisis, there's just so many extra steps you got to do, in order to protect yourself, but also protect your patient. So, we're wearing like our visor and our mask, like all day long during the whole shift, washing your hands. And there's just so many precautionary measures in place in order to protect both you and the patient that it just makes everything heavier in terms of task. And that's why they need so many people. Yes, there's a lot of medical professionals that have been sick from COVID or are in quarantine right now, but there's also just more work to do on every floor. So that's why they need people, and that's why I'm here right now.
Let's go to Seren. Seren, go ahead.
Larry, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Number one, I want to be specific. Do you fear the virus, personally? I mean, is there genuine fear of it because, as Adam said, you are increasing your potential exposure. And then as a follow-up, I know you're talking about trying to be involved in all the virtual meetings and everything that the Chiefs are doing, but obviously to maintain the kind of strength and size you need to play offensive line in the NFL, I would think takes a lot of working out. Are you able to actually get the workout in to be prepared to play football again?
Two different questions, but I'll try to do my best to answer. I mean, this is I think everybody's concerned. Everybody's kind of scared a little bit, but at the end of the day, I got my training for proper PPE measure and usage, which was really important for me. Just refreshing, like how to put a gown, how to put a visor, how to wash everything, and putting in place kind of a process that makes you feel safe. And for me, that process was I have an empty apartment in Montreal that I use kind of as a transitional zone. So I go back home to that apartment. It's empty. I just throw everything in the washer, wash it with special soap, take my shower and everything, and then go home in order to try to protect my girlfriend as well, who's back home, and I don't want her to get sick either. So of course there are risks, but at the end of the day, I think you got to look at from a community standpoint, having young, fit individual working in an at-risk environment with the best protective gear possible. I think it's the best way to fight this thing, and that's why I want to contribute. And I don't know what was the other question. Oh yeah, the virtual workout thing. I think it's something I'm used to. Doing both. For the past 4 years, I've been doing medical school during the off season, working in hospitals with different shifts, different responsibilities. So I'm used to stay in shape, and I think the coach are trusting me, and I try to be accountable to the team as much as I can. I actually set up a pretty nice little gym in my garage, so I do the best I can. But you're right, as an offensive lineman, you got to put those plates on your back and squat in order to stay in shape. And with all the gyms closed, it's a little bit of a challenge. But the strength and conditioning staff in Kansas City are doing an amazing job. Sending us workout, and I communicate with Barry on a weekly basis. Sending him what do I have in terms of equipment, and then he's sending me workout, and everything is kind of personalized according to every player's ability to have access to dumbbell rack bars and stuff. And it's for sure a challenging time, but at the end of the day, I think we're doing an amazing job with that.
Okay, Harold Kuntz, go ahead, Harold.
All right. Hey, LDT, hope you're doing good, man. Hey, just overall, how hectic has it been for you at the hospital you've been at? And then when did you kind of get the feeling that things were getting a lot more serious than maybe, people had perceived in media or just what you've seen out there on the front lines? And also, how many players have reached out to you about, what's going on, what they can do?
Yeah, I mean, crazy enough, for me, the first time I actually was confronted to the coronavirus was at the Super Bowl, when a reporter actually asked me what I thought about it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to go play, the biggest game of my life. And I'm not really focusing on that right now. And crazy enough, 3 months later, the whole, half of the planet is in quarantine, and it's a pandemic. So it's crazy how things have evolved over the course of the last few months. And for me, I think, I got back from a trip, and when I got back home, I was put in isolation because I was coming from an at-risk area. And then I think it's kind of at that point that I realized that things were really serious. And then you see the NBA and the NHL shutting down, school closure and all that stuff. So for me at that point, I reached out to the health ministry and the faculty of medicine at McGill. And I was like, how can I help? How can I be useful? And at the beginning, my job was mostly to kind of promote all the new measure in place from a public health standpoint in order to make the community as safe as possible, with the social distancing and all that stuff. But at some point, there was a shortage of people in long-term care facility, and I kind of proposed myself to go work. And of course, it's one thing to be like, I want to go work, but when you actually get the date of your first shift and everything, that's kind of when everything hits you, and you're like, okay, how am I going to protect myself? How am I going to manage that with football and everything? And the Chiefs have been amazing. I reached out to Coach Reid and the front office to see are you guys okay with me going to the front line? And everybody was really supportive and understand. I think that there's something a little bit bigger than football that's happening right now. And if I can contribute, I think I should.
Let's go to Greg Eklund. Go ahead, Greg. Oop. Greg, can you hear us? All right.
How we doing now?
We got you now,
Okay.
Greg.
All right. Coming off the Super Bowl championship, did that put you in a position to reassess where you are with your professional football career and where you want to go with your medical career? How many more years do you want to play professional football?
I mean, I don't have the answer to you exactly in terms of how many years. I think that there's some parameter and things that I got to look at from a medical standpoint just to make sure that I can still do my residency training once I'm done football and I don't have to restart everything. It's such a unique case that I don't have like the exact answer. But what I know is that I'm excited to go back to Kansas City, and that's why I renegotiate my contract in order to make sure I stay there.
All right, guys, we got 3 more questions on the docket here, and then we're going to let Larry go. Harold, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't up. Go ahead.
Oh, you're not up? Oh, your hand's up. All right, let's go to Adam. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Larry, just really quick, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Just what does your daily schedule look like? How are you balancing your doctor duties, and how are you balancing the Chiefs workouts? What is your daily workout, or as far as just when you get up, what are you doing from the hospital and then working with the Chiefs?
I work out schedule with my my O-line coach, Coach Eck, to make sure that I can be there for as many virtual workouts as possible. Those workouts are 4 days a week right now, so I try to be there for at least 2 of those, and then I try to like do more shift maybe on the weekend and stuff like that. It's as a medical student, the day are really, really long, and now the day are a little bit shorter. I wake up around like 5:30 and I'm done around like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the day are like shorter, but it's hard to work out. It takes a lot of discipline to like go back home, after you take that shower and change into like fresh clothes, and you're not, wearing your visor and all that stuff, and then go hit the squat rack. But I think it's important to do it, and I think those virtual workouts to a certain extent kind of like remind you, football is just around the corner. And yes, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's just around the corner. And as a professional athlete, you got to stay ready. So, talking with the guys and just staying up to speed, watching some film, I think it's just like keep me in the loop and keep my focus also on training to make sure I can hit the ground running when I get back to Kansas City.
Okay, let's go to Suren. Go ahead, Suren.
Larry, Coach Reid talked a lot about how he thinks the offense has a lot more potential. And I know even after at the end of the Super Bowl, he was talking about, the ideas he had for where to take the offense. How much do you think that, maybe has to gear down because you guys can't get on the field, can't go through it, and you're just doing it virtually? Do you get a sense that, maybe everybody's just kind of bringing back what they did last year, or can you actually expand if you guys can't get together and have a real practice?
I think thinking that Coach Reid is just going to do whatever he did last year is really underestimating him. He's gonna come up with some stuff, and from day one of the virtual workout, we kind of hit on what worked last year, what didn't work, and where we want to be as an offense next year. So we're already in the process of learning new stuff, and I think that's what makes Coach Reid such a great coach.
All right, BJ Kissel, you want to close us out?
Sure, Larry. I just want to ask because. And just give you an opportunity to speak to Chiefs fans who want to make sure that you guys aren't complacent after winning the Super Bowl, and that desire to get back there and win another one is still every bit as important as it was the first time. Just, what's your kind of mindset, and what sense did you get from your teammates, both around the time of the parade and all that, and just from speaking with them after lately, that desire and that fire to get back there and continue building this thing forward is still there, alive and well?
I mean, it go without saying, we're a great franchise, a great team, and we were able to accomplish great thing last year. And the awesome thing is that we kind of keep the same core, same coaching staff, same player, and we're going to go do that thing one more time. And yes, after the Super Bowl, there's the parade, there's like a bunch of interview and festivity and opportunity. But for me personally, after 2 weeks, I kind of took like a little bit of a break. I went on a trip with my girlfriend, and that was, yes, to take some time to chill, but also kind of like to regroup, focus, digest whatever happened, and now, focus on next year, the 2020 season. And it's not a process that starts in the fall when training camp hits. It's something that starts, in March and February. And yes, we went all the way through this year, but I think it just gave us like even more kind of will to pursue that project of doing it one more time.
That will do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Links to the stories we discussed can be found in the show notes. Hey, earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer. It still stands. It's a good one. $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage. Come on. That's a good deal. But here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. You get sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole shebang. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues. Gosh, I told you earlier about Vahe's column coming up on Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Great stuff. The details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. In either case, the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're supporting local journalism and helping us deliver products like SportsBeat KC, which, by the way, will be back on Monday because we talk sports in Kansas City every day.